Welcome along to Lorna Páirce here on WLR, with thanks to PwC Waterford. Tomás McCarthy here till 7 o'clock. Well, all four Daoise sides are in National League action this weekend. Former Waterford and Westmeath boss Michael Ryan will talk about his time with the Lake County ahead of Sunday's Round 2 meeting in Mullingar. John Jackson Kiley will chat about Wicklow Waterford in the National Football League. All-star defender Lorraine Bray on Waterford's Camogie opener against Cork. And Daoise ladies captain Karen McGrath on Saturday's home game against Donegal at Fairfield.
Ball is broken very, very dangerously. Jane Kingston gets the ball inside. A chance of a goal for Conor Lehan. All too easy there. Ball into the middle, and as Shane Kingston bangs it into the back of the net, the ball just wouldn't come up for Horgan, but in came Shane Kingston and pulled on the first time. He's dead. Kieran on the line was happy with that one. They're 2 goals up and we haven't 3 minutes played. Fergal. Disaster start for Waterford. Desi still has the ball, teasing the defender, gets the ball back to Kieran Bennett. First touch for the Ballysaggart man, has a look, takes the shot. Oh, that's a great score. Well set up by Desi, but a beautiful finish by Bennett. Well won there by Irla Daly. The young teenager does very well. Gets the ball away. Neil Montgomery gets the ball through now. What's on here for Waterford? Line's going through. He's well known to stick it to the back of the net. Chance of a score for Corn. Takes his shot. It's a goal! Well set up by Waterford. Back of the net by Patrick Corn. Ball goes to Bennett, standing on the sideline, 45 metres out. Oh my God, that's sheer brilliance by the Ballysaggart man. Maybe up late studying with Hibernian and doing placement. My God, his eyes into this. Super score. Gets the ball back to Bennett under pressure. Oh, that's brilliantly done. Desi with the initial break, getting it back to Patrick Corn. Didn't try to shoot when he was surrounded by players. Got it back to Bennett. He sticks it over the bar. Number 5 for Bennett. Way over on the far sideline. Irla Daly steadying himself. He's going long. That'll be some score if it goes over. Yes, it does. He backed himself and puts it over the bar. That's super play by the young half back there. His dad and I'll be pleased with that. That's a super score. Real confident play by the young man. Darragh Lyons wins that ball. Gets it away to Patrick Curran. Really sharp today. What's Curran going to do with this one? Gets the ball away to Bennett. Curran and Bennett, the old combination. He has a look, takes his shot. Lovely finish by Bennett. Lovely creation by Patrick Curran. As the ball goes inside to Kingston. Kingston has gone inside his marker. He's one thing on his mind. Pulls the trigger, takes his shot. What a finish by Kingston. Stephen O'Keefe, slow it down. The 3 minutes are up and the whistle goes. It's all over and Waterford have got to the start of the league they wanted. Liam Cahill has got his first major game under his belt. A win for Waterford over Cork. It may be the month of January. A huge win. More importantly, a huge performance. 124-317 Fergal.
Great home crowd there as well. Really thrilled to see the supporters coming back out, and it's great to have. I hope they'll stick with us now as the year goes on and come in behind this team, because they are trying hard behind the scenes tomorrow, so I can assure you that.
Yes, the Waterford hurlers made a positive start under new boss Liam Cahill in Division 1 last Sunday with that come-from-behind win against Cork at Welsh Park. Next up, it's a spin to Joe Dolan country, Cusack Park in Mullingar for Westmeath versus Waterford. It will be our Skoda big match on Sunday. Kieran O'Connor and Michael Ryan on commentary duty, and our coverage starts at 1:45. Well, the Ballymacarbery man has been in charge of both Waterford and Westmeath, and also managed Waterford against Westmeath in the Championship. I caught up with Michael earlier this week, and firstly he explained how he ended up as Westmeath manager in 2014.
Well, I was Waterford manager for a couple of years, and after that I was, involved with one or two club teams, and got a phone call one day from Tom Hunt. Tom Hunt would have played football for Waterford and played for Munster as well. They'd take a phone call from Westmeath. So basically I did, and to make a long story short, met the chairman and secretary came down to meet me in Semple Stadium, came down to meet me in Horse and Jockey. We had a meeting, and I went up to see a few games and took on the job and enjoyed every bit of it.
Did it take you long to make up your mind?
Well, it did initially because, it was a long ways away, and it was, and I drove up there. But having seen a couple of club games and having seen the attitude of the players, and they were very serious about their hurling, I decided to give it a go. I initially intended to go for 1 or 2 years, but I ended up staying for 4.
How was the appetite for hurling up in Westmeath from your experience?
Well, what surprised me about it, first of all, there's only 11 or 12 clubs. But the clubs that do play hurling are every bit as passionate as they are in Waterford or Kilkenny or Cork or anywhere else. There's a real passion for the game. Unfortunately, they don't have the numbers, and unfortunately, when you're drawing up a county panel, you have a very limited pool to pick from. But, as regards their attitude and as regards their application and as regards the interest in it, it was huge.
How far is it from your home village in Ballymacarbery to Mullingar, and how many times did you make that trip, Michael?
Well, it's just under 200k each way, so that's 400k. And I think I was looking up the records when I left. I think I travelled up there over 600 times in 4 years, which is about, in miles terms, I think it's about 180,000 miles, which is here to San Francisco 30 times. And back, or not back, but here to San Francisco 30 times. But look, I never looked at it like that. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Yeah, did you think you were maybe mad sometimes to be taking on such a trek up and back?
Well, I've been mad for a long time now, so I think most people managing teams or coaching teams are a bit on the crazy side. So look, it's something I'm happy to be, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. How was the highlight of your time in charge of Westmeath during those 4 years?
Well, I suppose we won the Division 2 title, but we weren't promoted because you had to play the Division 1 team. That was a highlight after the second year. I suppose the way we played against like Wexford and played against Tipperary in Semple Stadium that day, we played really well against Tipperary. We played against Galway, we played against Kilkenny, played some really good hurling against some of the top teams. So that was probably the highlight. A little bit disappointed probably we didn't get up into Division 1 of the hurling a bit earlier, but they did that the year after I left. But the biggest thing for me was that I'd like to think they improved as a team, and their attitude is very, very good. And there's some decent hurlers there, but we probably didn't have enough of them.
Did you enjoy taking on the big guns, Michael, the likes of the Wexfords and the Tipperary, as you mentioned?
Well, we did, because when you take on the like of Wexford, you'd be taking on Davy as well, and we'd always had a bit of banter with Davy. And the thing about it is, players want to test themselves against better players. And everybody wants to play in Division 1, or everybody wants to be in Croke Park on All Ireland final day, and there's stepping stones along the way. And I mean, for the players relish the challenge. And I suppose as a manager too, the same thing applies from the management point of view. You want to be playing in the better venues against the better players. So from that point of view, it was very enjoyable.
You only thought initially you'd be there for 1 or 2 years. Why did you end up staying there for 4?
Well, basically, I was asked to stay on for a 3rd year. And then I was asked to stay on for a 4th year. And as a matter of fact, I was actually asked to stay on for a 5th year. But I think, you're there for so long. I think everybody needs a change every now and again. And I felt when the 4 years was up, it was time for a new voice. And actually, when I stepped down a month later, I got a phone call from Owen Price. They were going to the Canaries on a team holiday, and even though I stepped down as manager, they asked me to travel with them, which I did, which, says a lot about the players up there as well. So we had great times. We'd like to have done better. We'd like to have won more games. But, I'd like to think we played some good hurling along the way.
Did you make friends for life as well, Michael?
Absolutely. I'd be still in contact with, people in Westmeath. My backroom team, and even the county board chairman rang me today. And we had a chat with them, and look, they're serious hurling people. But that's the great thing about sport. You make friends for life, and you make a few battles along the way with people, but overall the friendships far outweigh those battles.
Yeah, have you been back up to Mullingar since you stepped down?
I have, yeah. I was up there for a fundraiser before Christmas with Richie Pure Kilkenny and Derek McGrath, myself and Alan Kearns of Galway. And, it was a kind of a talk show, whatever you want to call it, on the stage. It was very enjoyable. But I've gone up to see a few games since as well, and up to see 1 or 2 championship games. And sure, I'm off again this weekend, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I suppose Cusack Park and Mullingar has been a graveyard for some Waterford teams in the past, likes of Mount Sion, Ballysaggart, Cappoquin have had bad experiences. Can it be an intimidating venue for opposition teams?
First of all, it's a tight pitch. It's a tight pitch, but it's a very good hurling surface. And but look, I always believe if you're good enough, you'll come out of it. And maybe it has been a bit of a graveyard, but it was up to Waterford against Westmeath as well in the first half of that game. They gave us quite a game. I think we eventually won by 16 or 17 points. But there's always a good atmosphere there. I mean, if you have 2,000 people in Cusack Park, it seems to generate a good atmosphere. It's a lovely stadium. I mean, it's terraced all around properly, and you have the stand, and there's always a good atmosphere. And as I said, the surface is pretty good as well.
Do you expect this Westmeath team to lift their game for the visit of Waterford on Sunday?
Well, I wouldn't want to be playing down Westmeath now, but there's a few guys missing that they can't afford to be missing. I think that they might be short 3 or 4 for starters, but like from Waterford's point of view, I'm sure they'll approach the game in the proper fashion. And after a very good performance last weekend, Westmeath will hopefully lift their game. But from Westmeath's point of view, I mean, last Sunday they only scored 2 points in play. That has to be a worry. But having said that, I suppose they lost their best hurler, Angus Clark, the captain, was sent off for 2 yellow cards, and playing Galway with 14 men in Salt Hill is not a good idea.
What impressed you most about Waterford's performance against Cork last Sunday?
First of all, after going 2 goals down, I thought their attitude was fantastic, and they were a little bit loose maybe for those first 2 goals, but I noticed Michael Bevins, the coach, was in the pitch straight away, and immediately they altered the way they played. And Dara probably played a bit deeper, and they closed up all those areas, and they worked really hard. But if you were to ask me the most impressive part, I would have thought their energy around the pitch, their attitude, their work rate, their zest, and they seemed to be really happy to be involved in the battle. And they looked like a team was up for the game, and looked like a team was really proud to play for Waterford. And they got a few setbacks during the course of the game, but they always kept coming back. Played some really good hurling along the way, and I thought they used the ball very, very well at times, and always seemed to be support play. Fellas coming off the shoulder and taking good options, and when things were going bad for them, they figured it out and they worked it out, and they got a goal in 24 points. That's a serious tally in this time of the year.
Do you think 1 or 2 of the rookies also put up their hand ahead of the summer, the likes of Irla Daly, Neil Montgomery, Jack Fagan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, played really well. I mean, young Daly was outstanding. I think he's only 19 years of age. And Jack, of course, seemed to be full of energy and a big, lively lad. But Kieran Bennett in the middle of the field, I thought, set the tone for the day. He came forward early on, popped a point and ran off the shoulder. And he looked like a fella that Cork didn't cope with. But right through the pitch, I mean, Patrick Hudden was outstanding. And, he's one guy I really rate. I think he's a guy waiting to explode, and got a goal and was it 3 points, but he's had about 2 or 3 dispossessions as well. But look, it would be unfair to single out too many fellas individually. I thought right through the pitch there's a lot to look forward to. Now I know they won't be happy with conceding those goals early on, conceding 3 goals in total. Stephen Bennett, I've never seen Stephen Bennett work as hard as he did. I saw him on one occasion, he chased back to his own 21-yard line. He also missed a few frees he won't be happy with. But the good thing about it from Waterford's point of view is an awful lot of positives. But there's also the stuff that they can work on. And I'm sure when the management team, when Liam and the management team sit down during the week, they'll analyse it, and they'll point out those things. They'll dwell on the positives, but they'll also, there's more work to be done. Yeah,
we'll be looking to tighten up defensively now for Sunday. They won't be happy with a couple of the goals they gave away against Cork.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you give away 3 goals, it's hard to win games. So they'll be looking to tighten up that. It probably may or may not be tested like that on Sunday, who knows. But we all know there's big tests coming down the track, and from listening to Liam on the radio there, he's going to look at fellas over the National League and build a team for the Championship, and they're in a good place. But it has to be said, we were also in the league final last year. That shouldn't be forgotten. But in fairness to last year's panel, but there's some new fellas have come on, and they've been plucked. I wouldn't say out of the woodwork, but they're some talented guys, and there's also some big lads. I mean, it's very impressive with Connor, fullback, and they won't be happy with the puck out strategy. Maybe it didn't work as well as it could have worked on Sunday. But they're all things. This is the first game of the year, and there was obviously going to be things wouldn't be 100% right. But I think there's a fair bit to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to seeing the games, and I think this team will develop an awful lot as the year goes on.
Yeah, could this be a game to give a couple of more players an opportunity to shine, and maybe give Desi Hutchinson another chance to start a corner forward?
Well, look, I've been Waterford manager myself, and I know how difficult the job is, and I wouldn't attempt to tell the management what to do. I mean, I've no doubt, they prepared the team well for Sunday. They threw in fellas, and I've no doubt they'll come up with the right decisions. They'll sit down during the week and they'll analyse and they'll pick the team, and who knows what's happening in training, and I'm sure they'll, over the course of the league, the strategy will probably be to find their best starting 15 for the championship, or find their best 20 players. And I liked the way they're going about it. When Liam was appointed first, I thought he was a great appointment. I rang him to congratulate him when he was appointed, and I think he's a great appointment. He's won the minor, he's won the under 20, and he's won the under 21 with Tip. I would have met him a few years at club level, and also Westmeath played Tip under 21, so he was in charge. He's a young, hungry manager. He's desperate to succeed, and he needs to be given a proper chance. And then you have like Stephen Frampton and Stephen Malumpian. When they played, they were two serious men. And the big thing about them was they gave it all every day they went out. And I think for the rest of this year and for the years ahead, anytime a Waterford player goes on the field, I guarantee you they'll fight for the ball, because that's what the management team will have instilled in them.
I suppose another positive from last Sunday was the performance of Darragh Fives at number 6. He's been injury plagued. Michael, he was one of the players you worked with during your time as a Waterford manager, and there's a vacancy there now at number 6 with Philip Mahoney retiring and Ty de Burke out injured long term. Yeah,
he's a really good hurler, and it's a pity. I think in my last game against Kilkenny, he played midfield and got 3 points in play. He's a top-class hurler. He's had a terrible time with injuries. There's no other word to describe it, but he's a really talented player. He's still young enough, and the good thing about him is that, as the year goes on, wherever he's playing, you'll find he's a fella that uses the ball really, really well. He's a really good hurler, but he's a really good striker of the ball as well. And there's another serious option. I don't know who the lads are going to pick centre-back, but I'm sure they looked at various options, and he's a good top-class player. And that's, right through the team, that's what you need. I mean, Jake came on and was back again playing midfield, and I gave Jake his first start with De La Salle when he was 17 years of age. He's always been a good hurler, but, and I'm sure there's probably 30 or 35 fellas in there, and they're all champing at the bit to get on the team. And that's a good formula for somebody to succeed. Waterford will benefit from all that.
So would you be expecting a big Waterford win now on Sunday up in Mullingar?
Well, I have to be very careful now, what I say. I'm actually doing the
You'll be torn on Sunday, Michael.
No, well, I won't. I'll always be a Waterford man, but I hope Westmeath produce a good performance. But, I mean, to ask him to beat Waterford would be a big ask, and I'm looking forward to seeing how both teams play on the day, having managed both teams, which is probably unusual for me, but looking forward to the game, first of all, and the occasion, and I'm delighted they're going to proceed, and who knows what will happen, but it's just another step. It's a huge game for Westmeath. I mean, Westmeath were well beaten last week by Galway. And, if they were to lose this game, from Waterford's point of view, if they do pull it off, and pull it off is the wrong phrase, if they do win, they're expected to win. It'll be 2 wins out of 2, and they'll be in a very good place and building a bit of momentum. And momentum and confidence is huge.
Michael, thanks for your time today, and enjoy the game in Mullingar on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
We love Waterford. We are WLR.